Hi, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Calvin, We the Species. Hey, it's September. So September means Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's is coming. That's what it means. Everything accelerates. It's September. That means football, college football, which I live off of. And I've been talking to Arias Websterberry now. We've been on and off talking for the last month or two. Uh, how do I verbalize? I'm a great verbalizer on Arias's journey. So real fast, he's the founder and CEO of WebsterBerryMarketing, Ignite Funnels, and Launch Ignition AI, which is a cutting edge AI platform. We're going to talk about that. Uh, More importantly, Arias's journey to get here, and he'll tell you about it, not me, is one that they make movies about. I'm not saying it in a patronizing way. This is the stuff they make movies out of. I mean, I forget how long Arias slept in a stairwell, but he did. It's beyond. So the resilience and the determination is extraordinary. And I've been around the block a bit, and I've met lots and lots of people in my journalism days. But Arias is so amazing, and I'm always grateful to the universe how we got connected in the first place. But I love one of the missions. I'm going to read that, and then I'm turning it over to Arias. His mission is to quote help 1,000 entrepreneurs make 100,000 plus, and 100 entrepreneurs generate 1 million plus by 2026. Because he's an expert in digital marketing, which I'm so fascinated with, and strategic growth and all this stuff. So this is one important, amazing, fascinating guy and company. And Arias, why don't you, before we jump into the interview, why don't you do a little background? Take it away. I'm thrilled you're here.
Yeah, thrilled to be here again and converse. So first off, Calvin, thank you. I love the title of your show because We the Species speaks to exactly what I've lived, right? That human story, our struggle, survival, and reinvention is at the center of everything. So I appreciate you having me. I'm Arias Websterberry. I'm an entrepreneur, an author, a systems strategist, a digital marketer. I guess being an AI entrepreneur nowadays. But before I ever built a business, I had to learn to build myself. I grew up in enormous amounts of chaos. By the time I was 18, I had lived in over 12 homes. I lost my father at the age of around 13, 14. At one point, both of my parents were incarcerated at different points. And I didn't grow up in stability. I grew up solving problems on the fly. And that survival mode eventually evolved into structure, strategy. And today I've turned that into systemic success.
Wow. So let's kind of dissect and begin to understand how you've taken that journey. Um, what sparked? Oh, I was curious about this. What sparked your earliest entrepreneurial like hustle? And how did all these childhood experiences like shape you and mold you?
Yeah, I think the first time I caught the hustle bug, I was 10 years old. My younger cousin and I started a dog walking business in our neighborhood.
Wow.
So I didn't have a business plan. I didn't even know what that was. I definitely didn't have any permission. I just had some instinct. I saw a need and I filled it. One day walking back, I used to take the bus to school. I got off, I'd walk home. And while I was walking, I noticed a lot of dogs barking, and they were in the backyards. And I just watched a program that said the dogs needed to be walked like at least an hour or two a day. And I noticed that I'd been living in my neighborhood for a while, but I didn't ever see any of these dogs. I always heard them. So it just occurred to me that maybe I could go walk their dogs and maybe they would pay me. So I grabbed my cousin and we knocked on doors. And before we knew it, we had a full afternoon of dogs to walk, and we had some cash in our hands. And, at the time I was 10, we made about 25, maybe $30 that day. I felt like I had hit the lottery. I thought that I was, the richest man in Babylon. But, that business rose and fell in the same afternoon because my mom found out and completely freaked out, right? She shut it down fast.
Wow.
And, looking back, I get it. She's a single mom and she's just trying to keep us safe, me knocking on random strangers' doors at the age of 10.
Wow.
Um, but that planted the seed, right? And it showed me two things. One, that I could see opportunities that others overlooked, even at a young age. And two, that I didn't need permission to build something valuable. And I think that that's where the hustle started. And over time, I learned something even deeper, that hustle without healing is chaos, but hustle with clarity, well, that's a business.
Wow. I just wrote that down. How many people who interview you take notes? I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes.
I'm flattered.
I am. Hustle with clarity. And you said another great word that I also wrote down, instinct. What a
Mm.
great word, because you almost can't define it. What is it? It's there. And at 10 years old, you had the instinct. I mean, I think that's extraordinary. So, what personal challenge, what do you think, what personal challenge shaped your resilience the most?
What
Maybe
personal
just
challenge shaped my resilience the most?
maybe I mean uh,
Yeah, I would say losing my father at 14. That broke something open in me. Not just grief, but the realization that life wouldn't hand me anything. That moment taught me a couple things. One, after the pain subsided, I think I cried for a few days on the couch, but it taught me that pain is a teacher, right? It is an indicator of a point that you need to pay attention to. Um, and the second thing is that resilience is a choice, right? That mindset um, is that I don't like this outcome, right? So I'm going to build a new one. Has shaped everything since. My father and the choices that he made, him falling prey to drugs and all of the ramifications of that initial choice very much shaped me not dealing with I don't do drugs like that because I see what's possible and everyone reacts to those things differently. I'm very cautious with various things that I put into my body as a result, right? um, so it really made me hyper focus on the choices that I make. And I think that that has been the greatest nudge to where, where I am and what I've become um, of anything.
you said another profound thing, which I wrote down, stuff that you put into your body. There's a great message here. I was talking to a world-renowned jazz pianist yesterday who wants to go
Hmm.
out. I'm going to take this and tie it into what you just said. He wants to go out and do stuff for senior citizens to make their lives better. And he knows that I'm an older guy here, and yet I'm functioning at such a high level. It doesn't come from nothing. It's what you're putting into your body. It's what you're doing to your body. And it's a lifelong pursuit. Yes, you can fix things when you're 60 or 70 or 80, but when you're young, if you're on the right path, then this thing up here is going to be working way past when most people think it should be retired. I'm at my peak. So what you just said, and there's a great message there, and you're the marketer, to reach young people, because young people think they can live forever, and they don't deal with matters of mortality and stuff. But anyway, You're filling up my page. I take notes here. Good stuff, Arias. Um,
Yeah.
I like this because part of, and I put this into the title because people should know you produced Hip Hop 101. It's a pretty big festival, so you were a producer of that. How did that transform your perspective um, on business and culture? The fact that you did that.
Yeah. When I first started that thing, I got a call from my investor who ended up kind of pulling together all the funding for it. I had no idea what it would become, but Hip Hop 101, the Music and Arts Festival, it was at the Los Angeles Sports Arena, over 17,000 people. Um, it wasn't just an event; it was a movement, right? When I brought Common and Ludacris and Janelle Monáe to that stage, it wasn't just creating entertainment; it was creating community, and that experience taught me how to architect energy, right? How to create anticipation, and how authenticity, especially cultural authenticity, is the ultimate currency. And I carry that lesson into marketing today. Whenever we bring clients in, we're always looking at who is it that they are trying to serve, and what is it, what value do they bring to those people, and how do we convey that in an authentic way. So whether you're throwing a concert or launching a brand, it's all about that connection. That connection is how you get people to know, like, and trust you. And if you can secure those three things quickly, you've got a very long and fruitful business ahead of you.
Oh, wow. Uh, I love that cultural authenticity. This it's great stuff. I mean, this is this is this is like 101 here too, but even more than that. Listening to you, great stuff. Um, to me, this is a very important question. What inspired the pivot? And you've pivoted from events into AI powered marketing and tech systems. And I, as an old timer here, subscribe to four different AI programs myself. Uh,
Okay.
and each one I use like Microsoft AI because it's probably the best health. So I ask, if I'm sneezing, I ask AI, why am I sneezing? And then I use another one to do some of my writing things. And AI
Hmm.
can't replace my writing. It's me.
Yeah.
It's what's here. But
Hmm.
but anyway, so what inspired you to head in that direction? Because you were really at the forefront.
Funny enough, I don't think it was a pivot. I think it was more of a pattern. In the entertainment world, the event world that I come from, we had to figure out how to systemize the chaos, all the people and the celebrity and all these different things, booking, talent, logistics, dealing with audiences, and really the outcome of all of that, hopefully, is a successful event where people have a good time and lots of money is made. But I realized if I can do this for 17,000 people in an arena, if I can get them to a stadium, why not 17,000 leads in a funnel, right? AI was just the next logical tool. It took what I was already doing in digital marketing, but it gave me speed. It gave me precision. It helped me scale. But the mindset was just system first thinking, and I was already there. What it did is it accelerated what we were already doing.
Okay. You just said the word funnel. So how did Websterberry marketing evolve into Ignite funnels? If you can kind of explain and launch Ignition AI as well. How did you evolve into that?
Yeah. Yeah. It truly was an evolution. It wasn't something that I planned. It just, made sense as the next logical step. Websterberry marketing was built to serve people hands on, but I saw the same issues over and over again. People were getting overwhelmed. They were under supported. They didn't have infrastructure and they needed speed, right? They needed to be able to do things faster to get in front of more people so that the conversion rates could take hold. Ignite Funnels came next. because it's where we build everything. It is our automation platform. It's where we build all of our websites, both internally and externally for clients. Our email and text, and um, our CRM, our phone systems, everything is in here. Our payment processing. We had been cobbling together systems for years. I mean, I've basically used every single system under the sun when it comes to digital marketing and web development. And, you know, it's a pain in the butt, to be honest, to take all of those systems and get them all to play nicely, right? It's like taking 20 kids that have never met before and locking them in a room together and hoping that, they don't kill each other, right? These systems, they clash into each other, and trying to get them to talk and work harmoniously is difficult. So Ignite Funnels was that, instead of a random jazz or jam session of instruments, it is the orchestra playing in harmony. It takes all of these elements that you need to run your business, and it puts them all in one cohesive system that can run easily. So, if I could take a core business planning, branding, and funnel building system and automation and put all of that together, why not? And then with Launch Ignition, um, it's a tool to let creators and founders go from idea to offer very, very fast, because people don't need more theory, they need traction. And, every guru on YouTube or that's trying to sell you something is going to tell you something different, but most of them don't actually offer a solution. They just offer you a couple of videos and some PDFs. And we wanted to go beyond that. Launch Ignition helps you do it.
Great. I want to take a breath and just go off topic for a little bit. A couple of questions I picked up along the way. They're cute. You don't have to answer. So here goes. Um,
Mhm.
Excluding family or friends, somebody living or dead you'd like to spend a day with. It could be one, two, three people, whatever.
Someone living or dead that I would like to spend the day with. Um, hmm. I don't know his politics or his religion, but I would probably say J. Paul Getty, one of the first billionaires ever.
Yeah,
Um,
interesting.
you have billionaires now that have all of the technology in the world that at their disposal, and a global economy at their fingertips. But for a guy who was able to reach a billion in the industrial age, um, your level of thought, execution, um, philosophy, personal discipline, that's on a whole different level. Your internal mantra and ethos has to be pretty strong, to do that at that time. So I'd love to just, be a fly on the wall, much less be able to actually talk to him.
Great answer. Great answer. And I grew up when Getty was exploding,
Hmm.
gas stations all over the place.
Hmm.
And he was kind of a mythical figure. And he
Yeah.
was one of the first billionaires out there. And there was something in the news, years ago about his grandson. I can't remember. I remember seeing pictures of his mansion and stuff. But that's a great answer. One more cute question. Do you have some favorite movies?
Oh, plenty.
Good.
um, there's a movie with Michael Douglas called The Game. I've always loved it. It's a psychological thriller, where a guy who's got everything signs up for a game to put him in a position to where he kind of is stripped of all these things and has to survive and kind of get back to the core of who he is. It's Michael Douglas and um, not Christian Slater, but Sean Penn.
Okay.
Yeah, Sean Penn. Good movie. Yeah, that one I've always loved. Um, Harlem Nights is an amazing movie with Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy and a whole lot of Red Fox, a lot of amazing people. Um, yeah, there's quite a few.
Okay.
Wolf of Wall Street's a good one. Step Brothers with Will Ferrell. Yeah.
Okay. Good. I always like to get it. It happens to be a nice question because I'm an old movie person. I watch old movies endlessly, and I started watching an old movie. I watched it like four times, and it's called The Americanization of Emily. And
Hmm.
most people don't know about it. It's James Garner, Julie Andrews, and
Okay.
it takes place right before D-Day in London, England, and uh, he's a dog robber, and dog robbers were an official title in the military. The dog robber's job was to get stuff for their general or their admiral and make them comfortable so they would when this is a war now and they would come up with IW Harper to drink and Arpege perfume and all kinds of food and avocado and eggs and stuff when there was none of that around in 1944 and
Hmm.
it is just a great if you really cut through all the layers, it's a really anti-war movie. And it's subtle and it discusses but the acting, everything about it was really interesting. And I researched it and I found out that both James Garner and Julie Andrews considered it their favorite movie that they made. And, they must have made 100 movies between the two of them. And I watched it four times just because, I'm sitting in the chair here. I'm an old guy and sometimes there's nothing to do, watch movies. Anyway,
Yeah.
moving on, moving on. Um, can you share a particular failure that taught you to make like a key leadership lesson? Um, we all feed off failures sometimes.
Yeah. I think early on, I hired fast and managed loosely. I built a team that was talented but not necessarily aligned. So I lost time, money. I lost momentum, and the lesson was I need to have clarity before collaboration. Um, I don't hire based on pressure. I now hire based on process. And that failure forced me to become a leader with standards, not just a vision. I actually used to label myself chief visionary, and I realized that vision is not enough. Right? It is the execution of that vision that is important. They say that innovation
The
is
mother of
celebrated,
invention.
but innovation is celebrated, but execution is worshipped, right? There's a lot of great innovators, and America celebrates and truly keys in on innovation. One of the things that we're losing in this country is the focus on management, right? Everybody can come up with a great idea and get it in front of some people, but can you keep that idea alive for 100 years and keep it serving people and adding value? Um, so yeah, I think that me learning to be a leader with standards, me learning to hire people based on my actual needs and make myself responsible for their growth and their progress has been one of the things that I learned.
Once again, I want to show you. You can see all the notes I've taken about you. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like I'm in class. But you're saying some great, and I just thrive on this stuff. Clarity before collaboration. This is great. This is great stuff. And if I use
Yeah.
it, I'll give you credit. But it's great stuff. And one of the most important things you said, Arias, is management. I wrote. I'm looking for not to plug, but I might as well plug. It's a long story. It's a long story. I met this amazing woman, Kay Wagner. She's a best-selling author. She's got a thing called Bold Authors Network, and she kind of helps us independent authors. And I met her in January, and she's got these free Monday afternoon sessions to help authors in all these different topics. She read my novel, There's a Tortoise in My Hair, loved it. And she said, Kevin, there's 4 books inside there. Now I spent 25 years working for the richest Italian in the world. I was a regional manager for L'Exotic Group. I don't know if I mentioned that to you the last time we spoke. They went on to own LensCrafters and Pearl and Ray-Ban
Yeah,
and
I remember you telling me that.
actually everything. And actually people don't even know this, but Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook flew to my boss 4 or 5 years ago, and they
Hmm.
talked about their vision. And then maybe a month or two ago, Mark Zuckerberg bought $8 or $10 billion worth of Luxottica stock because
Wow.
they're going to take a sunglass a sunglass and they're going to stick
Hmm.
this element into a sunglass so that you don't
Yep.
need that and you have everything in a sunglass to do the work of that. So that is now it's becoming a reality. Interesting stuff. But anyway, I'm going off topic, but it's management. So anyway, Kay reminded me that Calvin, you spent 25 years working for and you learned stuff. I said, did. My goodness. I was a regional manager, had a million meetings, took a million courses. So anyway, she said, let's do a book. Not a history book, but a business fable. Basically highlighting the things. So it's 10 things I learned from the billionaire.
Uh,
It's a
nice.
business fable. But I
Okay.
learned the lessons I learned. It has nothing necessarily to do with the billionaire I worked for, but it's lessons of life and knowledge. And that flew out of me in 7 weeks. Boom.
Wow.
Every time I write a novel, it's 5 years. That was 7 weeks because it was all
I need
stuck
to
here.
I need to read that one.
It's there's some really interesting. I mean, he's amazing, and the people I worked with, amazing. The son, another
Mhm.
billionaire, amazing. The stuff I learned, and it highlights the essence of great management. They valued me as an employee, not as an expense, but as an asset. So if you can train and teach and mold and give me 50 courses, that makes me better. And that's an essence of management. Anyway, I you 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 make me go off topic, but that's good, I guess. I don't know. It's all part under the umbrella. Um,
Stimulating.
yeah,
Stimulating conversation.
yeah. It's because you bring up these things. You said management. It's the key. I also worked before. I worked for a pharmacy chain. And
Hmm.
and their philosophy basically was I was an expense and do nothing for me. If they could avoid me and get around me. Anyway, it was terrible marketing, terrible business structure, terrible everything. And they're gone now. 5,000 stores gone with the wind. And I saw that coming a long, long, long time ago. It all catches up to you, which is what you're all
Hmm.
about, to teach and to mold and to guide.
Right.
Which segues to the next question. How do your tools help B2B leaders scale while maintaining like this authenticity? Um,
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is helping them stay human, right? And I think that most people think, or not even think, that it's a reality. A lot of times automation has removed that human element, that connection. A lot of times you get a message and you can clearly tell it was written by a robot, not a real person. But I think that great automation should be the opposite. Automation should remove the busy work so you can double down on the real work and you need to figure out how to make it still capture your essence in sound and feel like you and your brand. Um, you know, uh, in Launch Ignition, and in our agency, our systems write content. They follow up with leads, they schedule calls, and they track data, and that frees you up to show up, right? To serve your clients, to serve your team and your employees, and to be present with your people. So I think that you know a year ago, 2 years ago, the AI videos and voice and stuff, it was very very generic and sometimes frustrating. And 18 months later, sometimes it's hard to distinguish. I think in another 12 to 18 months, you won't be able to distinguish.
Well,
So, I think that, our tools are definitely going in that direction. That's what we're focused on. And I believe that anyone who's in business or has something that they're selling should try to figure out how to implement, at least one of these things somewhere in their workflow.
okay. In a post AI world, how can leaders preserve these qualities of credibility and trust? That's important because we're heading down that road. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I think you protect trust by um, being transparent. With transparency and transformation, you need to be clear about what AI does and what you do. If it's a bot, don't tell it to say it's not a bot. That you erode trust with the people that are interacting with it, and if they erode trust in the interaction, well, they're eroding the trust in you, right? If you're willing to lie about something that's small, what else will you lie about? But most importantly, you need to um, focus on the results that matter, right? The tools change, but truth doesn't, and that's timeless. You need to focus on um, making sure that if you're replacing yourself or an action with AI, it's actually adding value to the user, the person who's actually using it, and the end user, the person who's interacting with it, not just you. I think a lot of companies, you know, pull humans out of a process and they put AI in order to save money, make it faster, hopefully make it more efficient. But a lot of times they don't really, keep track of the metric of how the people interacting with it are actually feeling about this thing. Is it, I mean, yeah, it's more efficient and it's more cost effective, but is it actually solving a problem and adding value to their life? And if it's not, you might need to take that back to the drawing board until it does.
you said, you know, talking about AI, lots of folks don't know that AI was already presented back in the 60s with that
Hmm.
movie 2001 A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, and
And a
people
great
don't
book.
realize that today. It was written by Arthur Clarke back in the 60s,
Hmm.
and they made that movie. And then, of course, at
Hmm.
the end of the movie, Hal, the computer, wants to take over the spaceship. So
Hmm.
this is the first powerful, but I think well, listen, nobody knew what the hell was going on. I could understand, but that was the first real public slap in the face about AI that it exists. A few years ago, I was fascinated by Ray Kurzweil, and I don't know, he's got like 80 PhDs. He's this genius guy, and he was doing this thing called singularity, and he has a university called Singularity University. So I actually whipped out my press pass, and I went to 3 days of this stuff. He had speakers from all over the world. I got a chance to talk to him. We compared. He was taking hundreds. He was taking 160 supplements a day. I only was taking 60 a day. We compared notes. But the point being, he dealt with the fact, in 20 or 30 years down the road, man and machine are going to emerge, and that's what you just kind of answered a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
what final advice would you give B2B founders looking to scale sustainability? What a word, sustainability.
What advice would I give to B2B founders trying to scale sustainability? Build systems, not stress. Um, you know, the it's it's if you don't make your business a job you or don't make your business a job you hate, right? Make it an asset that works even when you rest, So again, those systems, not stress. If you can't figure out how to take, parts of what you do on a daily basis and automate some of those things, if you can't figure out how to sequence it, even if you still have, humans, which I love humans, um, you've got to sequence it. I had that conversation with one of my guys on my ad team, and I was talking about our process of how we intake customers and how do we do the exact same thing every time because we get great results. But we've got to speed up. We've got to be faster. We've got to be more efficient. We've got to, be able to get the same results every single time, and that comes from perfecting and documenting the process. And a lot of businesses are having issues with scale because everything is bespoke, everything is custom. They approach every single project or every single customer with a artist lens, right? I got a blank canvas, and what are we going to paint today? That's not sustainable. That's not scalable, right? You get a customer, you need to treat it like a very long-standing family-run restaurant, right? You go into one of these places, it's been there for 40 years, right? You walk in, they greet you the same, they take your order, and you're usually amazed at how quickly the food comes out and it's delicious, right? They have perfected their process on the back end. They know all of their ingredients, they know all the steps. There isn't a lot of time in between discussing what they're going to do and what order things go in. And that's how you fuse great quality in quantity.
Mhm. Great, great answer. Last thing, um, what upcoming goals or projects are you most excited about that you can actually share now?
Oh, there's a few, but I mean the things I'm most excited about is my mission, 100x impact that you talked about, right?
Yeah.
Helping 1,000 entrepreneurs reach $100,000 in a year, and 100 entrepreneurs reach $1 million by
I love that.
2026. All of my businesses, everything that we get up and do every day is in service of that mission. And they ask me why I've got this goal. It's because I know what it feels like to be broke, but know inside that you're brilliant, right? That you've got some brilliance in you. And I wanted to give the blueprint that I never had. I wanted to set an audacious goal to help other people be able to realize their dreams and add value to this world.
Okay. And you are brilliant. I think this is the most amount of notes I've ever taken on an interview. So congratulations, number one. I thought of
uh,
a whole front
Humbled.
page here. That's just where I am. I'm a note taker. So this is, it's been wonderful hanging out with you and learning and being able to take notes. I marvel at your journey, and I marvel at listening to you because I've been around the block a little bit, and I've been in boardrooms sort of, and your ideas and the things you said. Uh, just it's great stuff, Arias, and I am thrilled that we connected, and I'm here with inviting you to come back. Hey, we could do panels, and it's I just throw all this up. I listen. My mission. We'll talk about that when we're off the air. Is to really grow this channel because I'm listening and interviewing people like yourself. It's this should be seen, and this is what gets me crazy. You should be seen by massive amounts of people to experience your depth and your brilliance and your knowledge and what you're accomplishing. It's great stuff. So that's part of my mission. It's like that TV show, Mission Impossible. Maybe it was a movie too. I'm taking this assignment, and part of my mission is to, promulgate and get you out there and Websterberry, et cetera, et cetera. So, thank you. Please come back. Thank you so much for your graciousness and your knowledge and your passion and stuff. Please do come back.
Oh, Calvin, I am always in awe, man. You are always doing things. I love our conversations, and I have to thank you for the space, for the kind conversation that reminds us that business isn't just about growth. It's about being grounded. It's about being honest. It's about being human, being willing to build something better. Um, yeah, yeah. And if you're out there listening right now, and you're in that messy middle that we often find ourselves in, maybe you've got a powerful story, you got a business idea, or you're just hungry to create something that frees you. Calvin is a wealth of knowledge, right? Like he said, he's been around the block. And me and my team, we are here to help you move that idea to income, trying to get you from that scattered side over to being scalable. So,
It's great. So I'm stopping recording. Don't leave. We're gonna do a 2 minute wrap. I love that Hollywood term, 2 minute wrap. This has been great. Thank you.